and then I got to do it over here on Instagram if it'll let me.
Oh,
Maybe.
technology.
Wait. There we go.
Are we live on all
Yeah.
platforms?
We are live. We are officially live on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So
Wow.
we're working on getting live on TikTok. But welcome into week 4 edition of Night Chat. Another great day of college football, Drew. And I feel like that's going to be a reoccurring thing where I say that every week, but I'm not going to let myself not appreciate every Saturday because we only get so many of these. We're already a quarter of the way through the season. Just going to let that breathe for a second. We're already a quarter of the way through the season, and I'm going to miss it when it's gone. So we're not going to think about that because we had another great day. We had more Core 4 games, and let's get right into it, man.
Yeah, let's just rock and roll. Let's just let's just chat. Let's pick on these 19 and 20-year-olds that we dedicate so many of our lives to.
Let's do it, man. So let's start with our 10 a.m. What I think is probably the earliest game of the day. I know they kicked off at noon Eastern, but it was 10 a.m. local time. Texas Tech and Utah. Boy, 5 turnovers in the first half. That Texas Tech defense showed up in a big way.
Yeah.
And when we previewed this game, I was looking at it and I thought, it's Utah at home. They're pretty good on the offensive line. This is kind of like a pieced together new version of the Texas Tech defensive line. So I think I'm going to roll with Utah. And boy, that Texas Tech defense is nasty. They are legitimate, man. They are very legitimate.
I was on the Utes, and unfortunately, man, this Texas Tech team really surprised me because much has been made of the Red Raiders' decision to just go throw a bunch of money at a bunch of players and basically gun for hire the whole thing. Well, it worked today. I don't know if it's going to work the entire season. I think it'll be kind of matchup dependent. But they had Utah's number from start to finish in this game.
Yeah, and I think it really, you started to see it take shape when it felt like Utah was kind of one-dimensional, where they're like, if Devin Dampierre is not running the ball, they don't really have any like downfield threat. And then when they would get some kind of like explosive plays, there'd be something that would like hold them back.
Yeah,
like Spencer Fano on the illegal man downfield on the touchdown. I feel like plays like that Utah just struggled to recover from, and it was tough sledding for them most of the day. Watching, it felt like every yard they gained just took so much effort. And I know, like, if you watched the first 3 quarters of the game, it didn't feel like that final score, because ultimately Texas Tech ended up kind of blowing out Utah. Yeah, but the way that Texas Tech was moving the ball, minus the turnovers and stuff, it kind of felt like that final score should have been spread out over the course of the game because Utah was just not having success on offense.
Yeah.
And their defense really kept them in it for the first 3 quarters. I feel really good about Texas Tech in the Big 12.
As do I. Yeah. Especially after watching some of the Big 12 matchups that have gone down today. I don't know what Utah is going to be because I feel versus lesser defensive fronts that they're still going to be pretty dominant. And when they're able to access Dampierre's legs, it's going to open up a bunch of other things for them. And so they're going to be able to win by just playing the style that they want to play against teams like that. But as far as Texas Tech, you got to be feeling great. And one thing that we haven't even brought up is that Texas Tech actually had to go through a little quarterback change about halfway through this game. With Baron Morton, he lowers his head directly into a linebacker, which, I mean, come on, dude.
I mean,
Just,
I
just
respect the toughness, brother, but
yeah.
like,
I
have
mean,
a little bit of situational
right,
awareness. Like your team
right.
needs you here, dog.
And he's thrown. I mean, he's thrown for 142 and 2 picks at
Yeah,
that point. He's rocking like I think like a 30 QBR, and then
yeah,
in comes Will Hammond. And from that point on, the Texas Tech offense. Well, I don't think it was. It wasn't noticeably different or noticeably improved. There were sections of this Texas Tech offense that looked a lot better and a lot more confident to where the
yeah,
play caller was like, okay, now we can throw over the middle, or we don't have to script this exactly open. We can kind of rely on Hammond's arm talent. There were a few over the middle that he made over linebackers and over coverage safeties that I thought were pretty impressive. He also used his legs quite a bit, 8 for
hmm
61 on the day in just a
yeah,
half. So he comes out of it 13 to 16, 169, 2 touchdowns, 61 yards on the ground. So moving forward for Texas Tech, I'm assuming Morton's is some sort of concussion or
yeah, probably,
probably something where
yeah,
he's going to be out for maybe at least a week, if not longer. So moving forward for Texas Tech, there's not really a drop off, and there maybe a slight
yeah, and
upgrade
it
under
feels
center.
like the way that defense was able to play today. Um, it feels like they're coming up schedule. They'll kind of be able to defense and run game their way to
Mhm.
wins. I'm with you. I think this team, their ceiling is higher with Barron, but they're not bad with Will Hammond
No.
at all. And it feels like they don't lose. I don't want to say lose anything because I don't feel like that's an accurate representation. But you know how a lot of the times when your backup quarterback's in, you lose certain aspects of the offense, not
Yep.
necessarily intangibles like leadership and things like that, but you lose certain in like segments of the offense because the makeup of the quarterbacks probably isn't exactly the same. I
Mhm.
don't feel that way with
Yeah.
Texas Tech.
No, I think
I
you're
don't
spot
feel
on.
like it felt like they still had the options to do what they wanted to do with Barron
Mhm.
with Will. So I think if it is just and I don't know, I haven't seen any injury updates or any news about Baron Morton or how long he's expected to miss. But if it is just and I say just a concussion, shouldn't take that lightly. But if it is a concussion, something that he's probably only going to miss maybe like 1 to 2 weeks in,
Right.
I feel good about their chances to win on the road at Houston and win at home versus Kansas,
Yeah. Heck,
especially because
Kansas did
like
look a little bit better today. I will say. I caught a
yeah,
little bit of that one on FS1.
hmm
I think West Virginia is just pretty bad. But
yeah,
they
yeah.
Kansas looked shakily improved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that team moves as Jalen Daniels moves. So like it really depends on how Jalen Daniels looks that day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like if he can get some help, Kansas is great. But if it's all Jalen, it's gonna look like the Missouri game.
Right.
So yeah. And I think this defense, this Red Raiders defense, could make Kansas force it to put on Jalen Daniels. So
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it'll be pretty not that it'll be a 1-to-1 for Devin Dampier because man, that dude just he cannot throw the ball down the field at all. I mean
yeah, it
that
was
was
not.
that was the thing that jumped off the screen to me. I think I'm kind of blanking on the receiver's name in this game, but there was one in the mid third quarter where I mean Texas Tech. It was a rare coverage breakdown that you saw throughout this game, and
Mhm.
I mean he was naked over there on the left sideline, and
Oh
Dampier
yeah.
missed him
Yeah,
by
yeah.
about 3 yards. And
I,
at that point, as just
I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
I don't remember this. I don't remember the receiver's name. But I know which throw you're talking about. That was one of those moments where they were still only down. I think
I
it
think
was like
7 or maybe 3
yeah, I
at
think
that
they were only
point.
down
Yeah,
by like one score at that point.
yeah,
Um, but somebody who really impressed me in this game, and I'm trying to find his name, um, but he was playing both sides of the ball. And I was like, and
yeah.
they even pointed it out on the broadcast. They called him like Utah's version of Travis Hunter, but
Everybody.
his names escape me. Um, but yeah, I'm with you, man. I think, and the rest of Utah's schedule.
It's Jackson. It's Jackson Benet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Jackson, dude, that guy was all
yeah,
over the field today, man,
mhm,
making plays on defense. He caught the touchdown that was called back. So, like, I mean,
yeah.
that's unfortunate. He should have had a tutty. But I think looking at the rest of their schedule, the I think Utah can still make the Big 12 title game with this style of offense, because they're definitely not going to see a defense like they saw today. They're at West Virginia, Arizona State at home. Arizona State's not what they were last year. I still don't have a full assessment on BYU, so
Yeah.
I still don't. But I mean, that's a rivalry game, so you kind of throw all that out the window. Um,
Can't say I've caught much of the Storm and Mormons this year.
yeah, I haven't watched much of BYU this year. They played East Carolina today and won, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think these two teams could play again. I think they could make the Big 12 title game because neither one of them looks like neither one of them play Iowa State.
That's going to be. I think that's going to be a very interesting, one of the more interesting storylines to follow if you enjoyed college football. In its entirety is going to be. I mean, I think we knew this coming in, but who's going to come out of the Big 12? Who is going to be? Who's going to be the team that we see that just kind of rises to the top? That kind of comes out of this madness. That's going to be everybody beating everybody. Because so far, I guess I would say I think Texas Tech is the best on paper out of the Big 12. But I wouldn't say that I know that they're the best out of the Big 12. I wouldn't say that it's a for sure thing at this point. There's questions with TCU. They took down SMU today. They're undefeated. You obviously have Utah. One thing I did want to mention on here, just because of our history with this coach. Oklahoma State will not be a factor for the Big 12 title game this year. I don't know if that needs to be said, but
it is in fact not Mike Gundy's conference. They're so bad.
Looked really bad. Yeah, they looked really bad.
They're so bad.
I will say they're really bad, but Tulsa actually just beat them. They stopped them in the red zone 3 times on 4th down. Not on 4th down, but they stopped them in the red zone 3 times. But yeah, just a little side shot at Gundy there because they are really bad. They are not very fun to watch.
Yeah, won't be catching a whole lot of pokes the rest of the season because that's just not gonna be fun. That was one of those numbers that, like, looking up and down the board, and shout out to our boy Max Chadwick because he caught another one. Looking up and down the board, I saw they hung out Oklahoma State as like a 11-point favorite or 10.5 over Tulsa, and I was like, should Oklahoma State be favored by double digits against anybody?
No, ever be favored at all this year?
Like at all?
Yeah. Like 1.5 type favorite.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, and the second one was Wisconsin was a 10-point favorite over Maryland. I have no idea who hung that out there and thought, yeah, this sounds good, because that was just.
It's early.
I mean,
it's early though, and as slowly as you'll see throughout the season, the gambler's advantage is dying as more and more of these lines get hung out there, and they, as we get into conference play, you kind of know the identity of each team.
You dial in these teams, and I fully expect Wisconsin to not be favored again.
Neither will Oklahoma State won't be either. It's just
they should. So, all right, let's move on to the afternoon window, which was just full of sacks. I mean, like, I don't mean that to make a sideways joke, but no, legitimately, it was full of sacks because between Jackson Arnold and Dylan Raiola, I don't think I've ever seen two quarterbacks run for their life more at the same time. Like, I had both those games pulled up in the multi-view, and I had just those two games because I was like, let me focus on just these core 4 games. And it felt like every time I would switch my eyes between the games with Nebraska on offense and Auburn on offense, it was, and Jackson's running for his life, and Dylan's getting sacked, and pressure. So let's start with Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah, let's start with Oklahoma and Auburn. And the reason I want to start with that is because we have an official statement from SEC officiating on that game. So this is from the SEC officiating Twitter page at 11:10 p.m. And I'll just read you the highlights. In Saturday's Auburn at Oklahoma game, with 10:50 remaining in the second quarter, a pass was thrown to an Oklahoma receiver, Satenga, who was heading towards the sideline
Yep.
and stopped. And he essentially was acting like he was going off of the field, but never left the field of play, and kind of tucked himself in the corner. And that ended up resulting in more or less a free Oklahoma touchdown. According to SEC officiating, they went on to say the officiating crew did not properly interpret the action as a hideout tactic. If properly officiated, the second down play should have resulted in a team's unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of 15 yards assessed from the previous spot. Appropriate accountability will be applied without additional comment. What that tells me is like, hey, we got this wrong. There's nothing we can do about it. Sorry.
Yep. And that's what they kind of said on the broadcast. That's what they said on the. They asked the ref for. They were basically like kind of asking him for comment halfway through the game, and he said, "We basically didn't see it. We didn't see it correctly, and we can't say anymore because we're going to get in trouble if we say more."
Well,
that's basically what happened.
Yeah, and I mean, as a ref crew, like you're caught in a rock and a hard place because you can't, like, if you go back and say, yeah, hey, we just missed that. I mean, you're right. You did just miss it. And you can't go back and flag it now and take the touchdown off the board.
Right.
But also there's like, at the same time you say, oh, we missed it. There's a line judge right there on the Oklahoma sideline. So in my head, two things have to happen. Like one of two things happen there. Either that dude's not paying attention and he just blatantly ignored Satenga, or Satenga checked in with him and he was like, yeah, nothing's wrong here.
Yeah.
Because, like, if he's going off the field and acting like he's going to, like, substitute, but then checks in with the referee and lines up, I mean, what's the line judge supposed to do? Is he supposed to flag down the Auburn corner and be like, hey, you got a receiver out here?
Yeah.
You got to come cover this guy. Like, no, he's not. But I don't know. I feel like that's just a tough spot. Normally, I'm not someone to, like, straight up defend refs because it is a hard job. But more of my problem with referees comes from the, like, apparatus of how referees are hired for these games, not necessarily the refs themselves. Like, this sport makes enough money. These leagues are big enough. We should have full-time referees.
Yep.
Where that's their whole job. That what do you do for a living? I ref college football games. There's too much on the line here for us to be relying on Jim from sales, who's working a 9 to 5.
There's insurance or,
it's different when you're repping a high school game. Like it's high school, but I mean, when we're talking the figures that we're talking that these conferences rake in, specifically the SEC and the Big Ten, there's no excuse for us not to have full-time referees.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I didn't necessarily feel like Oklahoma really pulled one over on Auburn. Like, if he had walked off the field and walked onto the sideline and then walked back on the field, yeah, throw the flag. But the fact that, like, the line judge is right there, he's walking towards the sideline. If you're the corner, like, I don't know. I just, like, Auburn has a whole coaching staff. So, you're telling me nobody saw him on the sideline, on the Auburn sideline? Like,
nobody was going crazy because they go crazy over every single little thing over there near the sideline.
And maybe someone was, they're having to yell all the way across the field. Like, but I don't know. I don't know. It was just a weird situation.
Very weird play, and one that I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of this is there's going to be a emphasis put on that now that they've seen that and somebody tried that. And I think Oklahoma basically probably knew that's kind of like a gray area within the bounds of officiating, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna see that, they're gonna be aware, and that's not gonna happen again. It's not gonna decide the game again.
It's the 12-man from Dan Lanning last year in the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
That he, like, intentionally put the 12th man on the field to get the penalty. I don't remember the exact situation, but that's what this feels like. Is it feels like it's going to be one of those scenarios where it's like, hey, if you have a player coming off looks like they're coming off and they don't come off, like make them check in with the line judge and be like, hey,
right.
you got to get like in the field of view. You got to go.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, because if he doesn't come off the field, to me, it doesn't really feel like, I don't know. His body language looked like he was subbing, so that's a factor. But it kind of feels like Oklahoma just got away with one. They got away with one.
Pretty much.
Not necessarily like you got away with a missed call, but kind of like the Dan Lanning thing last year, where it's like, hey, you got in this, you fit this right in this like gray area where it's like, hey, this rule's established, but you didn't follow it to a T where it normally gets called, and you kind of just snuck one over on the Auburn corner.
Yeah.
And once the touchdown's on the board, we can't do anything about it.
Not taking it off. Yeah. But I mean, I will say, although that will be a big storyline and there'll be a bunch of outrage on Twitter and people talking about it, and the War Eagle faithful will be all over that for weeks and you know all that. I don't think that should take away from what an entertaining and fun 3:30 game this was to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, this game delivered a lot of the hits. I thought that Oklahoma didn't particularly play their best.
No.
On the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, they were a wrecking crew. I mean, they were,
Lord.
And a lot of that, I want to be careful because, yes, Oklahoma's defense is good, especially the defensive line, but some of that definitely comes from Mr. Jackson Arnold and his pocket presence and awareness, which is really, really bad. It's always been shaky. And I had some notes because I was just writing stuff down for this last night. And the number one thing I wrote down was loads of Jackson Arnold questions. Not sure if he can do it. Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. I mean, he is super restrictive to whichever team that he is the quarterback for. And in this game, I think you kind of see that Jackson Arnold thought, okay, I'm going to use my legs, or Hugh Freeze thought, if Jackson Arnold gets into trouble, he's going to be able to use his legs. And I mean, Oklahoma was just, they were staying in their gaps. They were staying true to what they were supposed to do. And man, they were just killing them.
They go against it every day in Mateer. So like when you roll out with that strategy and you're like, yeah, we want to run Jackson, it's like, okay, well, Oklahoma wants to run John.
Right.
Like they practice against this every day. Like, no, it's not the same offense. It's not the same offense. But they've put an emphasis on rush integrity and not to just like move up the field past you and let you and create rushing lanes for you as a quarterback. And he still got some. Jackson still had some good runs in this game. Yeah. And he also had some pretty good throw. Like Cam Coleman, I do think Auburn, the whole fake substitution aside, I do think Auburn did get a little screwed on some calls on Cam Coleman. Like the double pass could have been PI. I'm not saying it, ultimately I don't want to sit here and say it should have been, because if you give the refs a chance to take a game away from you, they will. So, just get that out there. But it's still like there were some missed chances that they could have called PIs on Cam Coleman. And he really delivered in this game. I thought he was really good. I know he should have had 2 touchdowns. The one Jackson kind of outstretched him a little bit, but ultimately, like my biggest takeaway from this game was the Oklahoma defense was playing on fire, dude.
Yeah, they were
just 10 sacks, absolutely nuts.
Yeah, they were.
And Brent Venables they've got some things to clean up on offense. And I kind of worry about Oklahoma if they get into a hole. Like if they go down, 10 points or 14 points, I would be a little bit worried. But I think as long as Oklahoma can play, not necessarily with a lead, but kind of play at their own pace, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think you're right there. This is not an Oklahoma team that's built to put up a bunch of points in a hurry. And that's just kind of the nature of the talent that they have. On the other side, weird question. What would this Auburn offense look like with either 1, Joey Aguilar, or 2, Gunnar Stockton? because the question occurred to me when I'm watching all this talent that they've got running all over the field. And Cam Coleman looks like a first-round draft pick receiver, not even in performance. You just look at the screen and you look at him and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's like it's kind of the litmus test of if you show your mom who doesn't watch any football and she looks at the screen and she's like, oh, who's that? That guy looks really good, and she just kind of knows. That's kind of what you get when you look at Cam Coleman, and of course. I think Eric Singleton is probably the fastest receiver around and most dynamic. I kept asking myself the question in this game: what would Auburn be if Jackson Arnold was not the quarterback? Because you're right, he did make some good throws in this game, but I just feel like they're so limited by him with what they can call consistently down to down.
As far as what they'd be without him, I think you saw it last year. Because I think they tried to do the exact same things they're doing with Jackson this year with Peyton Thorne, and it was more turnovers.
Yeah.
And I guess part of that is just the offense that Hugh runs is it can be turnover prone if you're not perfectly on time with these RPOs. So I think it'd look a lot like it did last year if it wasn't Jackson Arnold. Now, if it was, I don't know how it would look with Joey, but as far as how it would look with Gunner, I feel like it would look similar, but you'd probably just see. I feel like it looks similar.
Yeah, that's kind of where I landed too.
With Gunner, at least. So.
Yeah, Joey would be an interesting cause. Now we could sit here all night and throw in different SEC quarterbacks to different teams, but I kept looking at this at the game today. And a lot of it probably came from the fact that they had 10 sacks. It really was. It was a difficult to get over. But I wouldn't count this Auburn team out. I think they're pretty solid, and I think 8-4, 9-3 is definitely within their future. And maybe ball break goes their way here and there, maybe a little bit better. But I think. A good game for both these teams. Unfortunate that Auburn lost on their side, but again, I think they're going to be fine. And especially, they got the Iron Bowl at home this year, and they have Georgia at home. Yeah. I think this is an Auburn team that is well positioned to kind of muck up the SEC as they usually do in years where they have Georgia at home and Alabama at home.
Yeah, I think they'll pick off. Somebody that you probably don't expect them to. If I'm Oklahoma, they didn't run the ball great today.
No, they didn't, which is weird because that's kind of where I expected them to kind of make their bones. Like Mateer's he's a pretty talented thrower of the ball, but really you expect with his legs and the way that he's able to create things, you expect that to open up the run game with as good of a passer as he is. And I just didn't see it today. It just never got off the ground.
Yeah, 10 for 29. Yeah. And outside of that, there was really no run game for Oklahoma in this game at all, which is why I think Auburn was able to stay in it, is because Oklahoma had trouble with the run game being as inconsistent as it was, and then that fumble on the handoff, because that felt like a big swing moment in the game. Because I think at the time it was 10-3.
Yeah,
and Oklahoma could have gone up 17-3. Yeah, and if they would have gone up 17-3, I mean that's just the way Auburn have been playing. That's just tough, But when you get that fumble, it kind of ignites the team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to watch these two teams going forward. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Oklahoma if they get in a hole.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that was the biggest takeaway from this game for sure.
I'm not as worried about Auburn, because they kind of played in a hole all day today, and they found a way to just stay in it. But I'm really interested to see what this Oklahoma team does, like specifically when they play Texas in a few weeks. What they do if they come out, like Texas comes out and it's like boom, hey, it's 14-0 in the first quarter.
Right.
Like how do you respond? So that'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to.
Is this the point in the live where we talk 30 seconds about the Arch Manning clip today?
You run over the guy and stood over him. brother. I mean, whatever gives that kid confidence, I'm going to be honest, whatever gives that kid confidence and gets him back on the track from last year, as long as he's not like being an idiot, I'm
Right.
for it. I'm
Yeah.
for it, man. Like
Kind of where I landed.
if you want to run over a guy from Sam Houston when you're up how a lot to a little,
Yeah.
and it boosts your confidence as a quarterback and elevates this Texas team to where a lot of people, and myself included, kind of thought they would be preseason. I'm all for it, man. Go for it, Arch. Do your thing, brother. Because I don't know if I've ever seen Peyton run somebody over like that. So yeah. But any final thoughts on Oklahoma
Nah.
Auburn?
No,
Yeah,
it was a solid game. About what we expected out of it, I think.
yeah, yeah. Well, there was another 3:30 game that also featured a lot of sacks. Boy, the Bussin' Bowl. I don't know how people do it, man. I don't know how people are Nebraska football fans.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just that
Poor
God
souls,
bless
huh?
them, man. Like God bless those people. Them and Arkansas Razorback fans, specifically in football. God bless you guys because I mean everything in this game leading up to this game, it felt like
Oh,
this is the time where Nebraska can seize a moment and elevate, and they just
yeah.
instead of doing that, Dylan ran for his life today.
Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you
And
off, but we have
you're
a
good.
Muschamp sighting in the Vanderbilt game. They're up that many points.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. He's
It's
in.
70. They dropped
Yeah.
70.
Yeah.
Oh
70
my
21.
lord.
Yeah.
Good for
Muschamp's in.
Vandy, dude.
Yeah. Will
Good for
Muschamp's
Vandy,
getting to
baby.
watch his kid in Nashville. Anyways.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. But yeah, no, so in the Thursday preview, I don't know if you got a chance to catch the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up?
But I picked Nebraska and then flipped to Michigan. Because when I picked Nebraska and I went through this like preview about the game, and I was like, you know what, man, it kind of feels like the whole time I was talking about it and explaining why I was picking Nebraska,
Yeah.
I could feel myself getting sick. And I
Yeah.
was like, they're not going to win. They're not. They're not. And I've kind of took this like, I don't want to say James Franklin Penn State approach, but I kind of have taken this James Franklin Penn State approach where I'm like, at this point, I need to see Nebraska do it before I'm going to believe Nebraska can do it.
Sure.
And that's coming from somebody who had them in their playoff bracket. I had them at like 10-3,
Yeah. Well, just because of the
making
schedule,
the
though.
playoff. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And now I think that team's going to be Michigan. I do. I think that team's going to be Michigan. With what they have, because with what they were able to do last year without being able to throw the forward pass, and
Yeah.
now you have a better run game than you did last year, and Bryce Underwood.
Right.
I mean, I can just assume now. I'm like, oh, I feel like Michigan, their biggest game remaining is Ohio State. They don't play Penn State. They don't play Oregon. They've got USC and they're at USC. And then they've got a sneaky Michigan State team and they're at Michigan State. That's a rivalry game. So like Michigan State could be 0 and whatever. They're still going to play their hearts out in that game because it's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
I feel really good about Michigan being able to kind of run game. And I know Nebraska's run defense is really bad, which is part of what also contributed to me flipping to this pick because
Yeah.
seeing the way that Michigan's been able to run the ball with not only Bryce, but Justice Haynes, who now has a touchdown and 100 yards in all 4 games this season, I thought to myself there was a version of Michigan that was going to be able to just death march their way down the field. And they kind of did. Well, I say they did. They didn't. They were able to run the ball explosively.
They were, and it wasn't just Justice Haynes and Bryce Underwood. They got a big boost from Jordan Marshall. He had that
Yeah.
54-yarder. He ran that
Yeah.
off 6 for 80.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That
that's
was
all
right
you
at the
can
start
ask
of the
for.
second half.
Yeah,
Like that,
all you can really
Marshall's
ask for from a backup. Getting your starting guy. I mean, Haynes he ran all over him, and
yeah.
when Bryce figures out the down to down sideline passing,
Oh my
which
gosh, dude.
and if he figures out some of these deep balls that he's missing right now, specifically one comes to mind where he missed a guy that's wide open in the end zone. There was a little bit of confusion with kind of I think where he was supposed to throw that ball. When he figures that out, I think you're spot on about this Michigan team. They're going to be really dangerous. They already are dangerous. They're just about as good as anybody that you've seen in the Big Ten this year, outside of Penn State and Ohio State. And I mean, well, I guess maybe we'll touch on this game, but I guess you have to throw Indiana in there now after tonight. But
sure, why not?
Yeah, but man, they're going to be they're already really really interesting. And like as Bryce improves and as he gets more reps under his belt, they're kind of the biggest X factor that I look at right now on the top 25 of a team that as they sit right now, if they were to have to play the national championship or the college football playoff today, no way. Like, I don't think so. But if you give me this team with more reps, additional, chemistry coming together, and especially if the run game looks as good as it does right now, which I know you touched on, Nebraska's run defense was awful, and it's going to be awful. But in November, December, talk to me then. We may have to revisit this Michigan team as kind of a legitimate type threat.
Yeah, and I'm with you. The more reps that Bryce gets on not only those deep balls, but like I'm glad you brought up some of those like down to down passes. Specifically, there's some like shallow out routes that they run that they had multiple opportunities where receivers open, they convert like a 3rd and 3, and they extend the drive. And Bryce he's gunning it just a little hard.
Yeah,
and he's just a little bit off. But the more he reps that, and the more in game, the more they get in these situations, the better he's going to get at it. And I think it was perfect what you said. That give me this team, around that time they're playing Northwestern, coming off the Purdue game. What is their record? If maybe they've caught one more loss, maybe they lose at USC or they lose at Michigan State, and they're like 8-2. Give me that team because I think they're going to look really, really good.
Yeah.
And almost an immediate return on investment for Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, and thank goodness too, because my biggest worry for this Michigan team was the hangover from last year was going to be real, but I think Michigan's now got themselves a guy that they can really like set in stone. This is our guy. 3 years. We know we got him for at least 3. After 3, he's probably gone. But what a luxury. And on the other side, man, I think Nebraska was handed pretty much a lot of chances to win this game, and they just couldn't put it all together when it matters. But man, Raiola is frustrating because there's some plays that he makes where you see the Mahomes comparisons. You see, the prestigious recruit that he is it comes out. And there's some that he makes where you're like, all right, dummy, get the ball out of your hands. Quit holding the ball for 6 seconds trying to make this magic. You're not as elusive as you think you are, especially not in a Big Ten conference game. Get the ball out of your hands. And if you don't have it, just throw the ball away. Because, a lot of these sacks boil down to Raiola makes the first guy miss, which credit. Like for his stature, he's really good at making that first guy bite and getting over that. And then the ball's either got to come out or you've got to get it away, because he kept trying to step up in the pocket and he would just keep getting pounded by the second and third guy.
Yeah, the Nebraska offensive line kind of got bullied a little bit today.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that not to pivot back to a game we've already covered, but that was one of the problems with Jackson Arnold in the Auburn-Oklahoma game, was that he was holding the ball 3.5, 4 seconds at a time, and pass rush was just getting home. So specifically, there were chances for Nebraska, like on the opening drive, you get down in the red zone inside the 10 and you fail on 4th and 2. You miss a field goal and then all of a sudden you're in a 10-point hole. Like you had a 10-point, almost a 20-point swing because you lost 10 and Michigan's up 10 now. So I mean it's just, I don't want to say this game felt like same old Nebraska, but when I was watching, I remember specifically when we were picking this game, and I reference that again because I thought to myself about the Cincinnati game, and I was like, "Oh, this is same old Nebraska. They're gonna play this game. They're gonna look good, and it's gonna come down to a 1-possession game, and they're gonna Nebraska it away." And they didn't, but that was against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I don't, not to be that guy, no offense to the Bearcats, I don't think Cincinnati's that good of a team.
No.
So at least when they're playing Michigan, thinking about this game, I was like, well, Michigan's not what they want to be. And they're not what they're probably going to be with Bryce Underwood over the next 2 to 3 years. But I do know I know one thing about Michigan, and that's that, to steal our one F-bomb, they know who the fuck they are.
Yes,
and they know what they want to do. Like they have an identity. And they stuck to it. And it won them the game. And it feels like Nebraska, while they're still taking steps in the right direction, they're not there yet. And they're getting closer. And they're getting closer. And I know as a Nebraska fan, it's got to be so frustrating to hear that, oh, you're getting closer. You're getting closer. But, I mean, they are. And they're just not there yet. And I really think it's tough because they just got whipped on the offensive line and the defensive line today.
Yeah.
Like Michigan was just better on the line of scrimmage. And I think it showed up in a big way. And I think it showed up when it mattered. And specifically in allowing for those explosive runs from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think Nebraska's out. I'm not going to totally write off this team, but I mean, if they don't have that miracle Hail Mary touchdown,
right? This game is it's not. You're not thinking about it. You're not thinking about it the same way.
It doesn't. It's not. It's like 30-27. If you just box score it, it looks close, but it's like you don't. How many of those miracle Hail Marys at the end of the half are you gonna? Like you hit that and you get all this momentum. You seize all the momentum from the first half, in my opinion, because you tie the game up and you're at home.
Yeah.
And then you come out and Michigan just shoves their foot in your face with that long run. And it just felt like I wasn't there, obviously, but I can imagine it's one of those runs that it just feels like it sucks all the air out of the stadium. Right. And they're like, oh, here we go again. Same old Nebraska. Yeah. And when it comes to a team like Nebraska, with where they're at, it reminds me of what people would say when they would have teams play these Nick Saban Alabama teams, where it's like, and it's not just a team for Nebraska, it's every game for Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Because their record in one-score games, that's the stat that's thrown at you every game. And it's going to be that way until something changes. But Nebraska has to find this when the moment's there, you got to seize it. Like, yeah, you do all the little stuff right, take care of the down-to-down stuff, but when the moment's there to seize a game, you got to stop falling on your face.
Right.
And until they stop doing that, they're going to be this team's sucks in one possession games.
Yeah, like and so close, but you don't get anything from that. You don't get anywhere. You get to 8-4 if you're lucky, and then you kind of replay the season. And Matt Rule probably will have a job forever because they're not going to find anybody better than Matt Rule to coach at Nebraska, and then you're kind of stuck in the pit of mediocrity because Matt Rule's not going to leave either if he's not, being sought after by bigger schools. So, all in all, I think spot on here. Nebraska has they got to change something up, but a big win for Michigan, and I think that's I think it was a bigger win for Michigan than it is loss for Nebraska. It's close, but I think in the grand landscape of college football, this was a bigger win for Michigan, because if Michigan loses this and drops to 2-2, and they open they open the Big Ten conference play with a loss, then I think it's worse than Nebraska, who is, like we've said, their schedule just isn't that hard to where they can still kind of figure it out, kind of piece it together.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel the opposite. I kind of feel
Okay.
the opposite way.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, is because Michigan this year, in my opinion, coming off of what they were last year, where it's like, hey, you went 7-5 or 8-5 because they beat Alabama in the bowl game, but like you couldn't throw a forward pass. Like, we know what Michigan was last year. It was, you're coming off a national championship, you're rebuilding, you're looking towards the future. Well, then you get this Bryce Underwood cat. I called him Bryce Young. You get this Bryce Underwood cat, and you're like, well, he's really highly touted, but we don't exactly know what we've got yet. Well, then you see some really promising things from him early on in the season. And if you're a Michigan fan, you're probably thinking like, okay, this dude's got it. We've just got to keep him healthy and get better around him. Let's take what we can get this year and build to next year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, you won your opening Big Ten game against a team who's in year 3 with their head coach. They've been building to this year because the whole year 3 Matt Rule thing.
Sure.
You've got year 2 Dylan Raiola. Like, to me, everything that we were that you were talking about for Michigan just now feels like it was on the Nebraska side. And this feels like a huge loss for Nebraska to me. Like, this feels like for Michigan, it's just kind of like house money. It's like, hey, we didn't expect to like actually compete for anything with Bryce Underwood. We just wanted to see that he was a step in the right direction. And now it's like, hey, he was a step in the right direction, and you might actually be competing for something. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a legitimate chance you could get into the playoffs with this schedule, because Nebraska still has to play USC, which we don't know exactly what USC is yet. But then they also still have to play Penn State. And so if you're looking at like 10-2 Michigan and like 9-3, 10-2 Nebraska, Nebraska's got the head-to-head loss to Michigan, and they're probably going to lose to Penn State. So like this feels like a bad loss for Nebraska just because of the spot these teams were in.
Yeah.
Because like, and they may not play next year, but like you expect the progression next year with year 2 Bryce Underwood. So I don't know. It sucks because, and the reason it also feels like a bigger loss for Nebraska to me is because it feels like it's just a culture loss for Nebraska.
Mm.
Like, it feels like that's where this program is at culturally, is it's like you don't do well in big moments in 1-score games.
Yeah.
Like, are the lights too bright for Nebraska? Because they have been for a while, and it felt like they were today. And so I think with Matt Rule specifically, it's not necessarily that you're going to be stuck in mediocrity, but I think you need to keep a coach long enough there, like Matt Rule, to shake whatever this 1-score loss culture is. Like, you've got to get out of that.
Yeah.
You've got to hang on long enough to where you can shake that, and it's like, hey, we're kind of gotten to the point where we're beating all the teams we're supposed to beat, and it looks smooth. And then, kind of like where Penn State's at. Like, kind of where Penn State has been the last few years, where it's like, hey, we're beating the rest of the Big Ten. We're just losing to Michigan and Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I feel like Nebraska is trending towards, but they're not there yet.
Okay.
And I know if you look at the books and you look at favorability, Michigan was favored. So technically it's like, well, Nebraska shouldn't have won this game because they weren't favored. But that point aside, it's like, Nebraska needs to build towards, because they're not just some powerhouse recruiting. They're not some powerhouse recruiting program. Like,
no, they're very lucky. They're very lucky to have Raiola. Like, Raiola is a very specific case that they got because of his lineage.
He's a legacy. He's a legacy.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not going to be raking in like, you're going to be one of those teams that is recruiting in like the 20 to 30s, and you're supplementing your roster with like decent power 4 and G5 transfers, and you're going to be one of those programs, at least right now, that needs to build towards this is like, hey, not this year, but next year.
Right.
Okay. We're building towards 2 years from now. We're building towards 3 years from now. At least until you get to a point where winning doesn't feel like it takes everything you have to win a game. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I didn't mean to get on like a Nebraska rant.
Yeah.
But
that's
like,
all right.
I just
that's what the night chat is for. It's for tangents.
I feel like you've got to establish a culture, just a winning culture. And when I say winning culture, I don't mean winning games the way that Nick Saban or Kirby Smart or Ryan Day or Dabo Swinney in his golden days, because definitely not right now, were winning games. Like, you don't have to rip off some 90% win percentage.
Yeah.
But like, you need to build a winning culture that shakes this one score loss curse. I don't know, and that's much easier said than done. Again, that's said from a guy sitting in a chair on a laptop talking about college football. That's much easier said than done. So, that's my closing thoughts on Nebraska, Michigan. We got another game we need to talk about, so we need to move on.
Let me start us off, because I do have a social clip that I kind of want to work through, or maybe this won't be a social clip. Who knows? But in preparation for the Florida-Miami game, I went ahead and I went back to the 2020 Florida shoe throw, which super fun, interesting deep dive. If you want to go look through that, MVOS has a video on there called like, "Was the shoe throw really that bad?" And it's fantastic. So go look at that if you have not. But anyways, the shoe throw comes in the 2020 LSU versus Florida game. And it is one of the more interesting games in college football history because there's fog everywhere. It's the 2020 LSU team, so it's COVID. They're coming off the Natty, so they have just been ravaged by the NFL draft. They really have nothing left. Like, Orgeron is basically out of the door already. They're 3-5 at that point. And Florida comes in 8-1. With their only loss being to Texas A&M in a 41-38 thriller early in the year. So they come in 8-1. They've already locked up the SEC championship. So it doesn't matter for the SEC championship, but with it being the COVID year, they're only playing 10 games. So
and the 14 playoff era.
Right. So they have to win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive. And so they get it. It's 34-34. LSU's got the ball. They stop them well short on LSU's 30 on third down. They're about to get the ball back, and they stop them. And let me get his name. The tight end for LSU at the time, Bo Taylor, kind of pops up in the air from multiple defenders. His shoe comes off, and Florida's defensive back, Marco Wilson, grabs the shoe and just chucks it downfield. And instantly his teammates are like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like, they're getting all over him. Like, they know what's just happened. LSU drives down the field, kicks a field goal. Florida actually drives back down, is unable to kick the field goals. So they lose. They have 2 losses. They're not able to get in the college football playoff anymore. They lose to Alabama in the SEC championship in a 56-40 or 52-46 loss. And then they get absolutely ran out of the stadium by Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. But that was it. That was their chance. Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney. By the way, Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts look like future All-Pros in that tape. It's insane, dude. It's crazy.
2020 Kyle Pitts was just
he's
the best tight end we've ever seen until Brock Bowers showed up.
Yeah, he's the man among boys out there.
He's just insane what he's doing to people.
Anyways, I digress. Dan Mullen gets fired before the 2021 season ends. Billy Napier is brought in, and the great exodus of Florida recruits happens, and they have not recovered since then. And the Florida expectations of that job are ultimately going to get Billy Napier fired because they are 1-3 right now. I don't think that he'll get fired after this loss to Miami, because say what you want about this Florida team, Billy Napier's doing something right. And what he's doing right is that he's got a really good side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball for this Florida Gators team is really, really, really stinking good. And they're on the field more than almost any defensive unit in the country. and they're holding teams. Last week they hold LSU to 13 offensive points. This week they hold Miami to really 20 real points. Like they give up the touchdown at the end, but 20 real points.
Yeah, that's like a garbage time touchdown.
Right, garbage time punch in. Yeah, like that just happens. But man, they're being severely let down by this offense, which I did want to ask you. I mean, what is the difference? Because even at Florida's worst last year, Florida's scoring points. They're a 20-point a game team, pretty much minimum. And this year, they're struggling to put together 2 touchdowns in a game.
You know, coming off of last week, and when we talked about previewing this game, I was kind of like pounding the table for like Jaden Baugh, like run the ball with Jaden Baugh. And then I had mentioned it. I was like, watch, they're going to try it this week. And this is going to be the one week where it's like, hey, Jaden Baugh's probably not going to work that well because this Miami defensive front is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, they try him on the first drive, and it does not work.
Negative 2 yards or something like that.
Yeah, they did. They went negative on all 3 plays in the first drive. But then I kept finding myself, and I can't remember if I've ever seen Kirk Herbstreit like this, calling a game. But at one point in time, the Florida offense had been out a couple of times. And at one point in time, just in the booth, on the call, he's like, can I get some fight out of somebody on the Florida offense? And I'm thinking there, I'm sitting to myself, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the issue, is that when you look at the defense and you look at the way they're playing, and he highlighted one of the players, McLeod, number 93, he was like, this dude's playing with some fire. He's playing like he wants to be there, like he wants to be on the field. And I thought, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the problem with the Florida offense, is that at least tonight, it didn't look like they wanted to be, like they kind of packed it in.
Yeah.
Like they had kind of packed it in.
Especially 2.5 quarters through this thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And then because there was a moment in the third quarter where it just, they started doing some perimeter runs and stuff. And it was like, oh, Florida found something. And I sit there and I think to myself, I'm like, did Florida really find something? Or did they just did somebody actually get their attention and be like, hey guys, I don't know if you want to be here or not, but I want to be here. And if you guys don't want to, what was that? What was that? I can't remember that linebacker's name for the NFL, but there's a clip of him where he runs up to his teammates and he's like, hey guys, I'm just going to go out there by myself 1-on-11. I like my chances. I'm like, did somebody on the sideline say that?
Yeah.
Or like really get this team like
you guys stay over there. The defense will do this. We'll intercept. We'll get touchdowns on defense.
It's like we're going to march the defense. Yeah, we're going to march the defense out there on offense, and we're going to let them take snaps and see what happens. Maybe that, but it at the time, the problem is that just happened too late. Yeah. It happened too late. And while that was good that you saw some fight from this Florida team, that Miami team's still really good. So it's not like you could just go out there and just be like, hey, we're gonna start playing now.
Right.
And you're gonna magically win the game. It's like, no, Miami's still really good. So when you play games like this, you have to start like this.
Right. And you can make adjustments, and I think Napier did adjust coming out of halftime. Yeah. But the biggest problem was that they're like, okay, it worked on one drive, or our singular touchdown drive. We ran the ball the entire time. We ran the ball the whole time. And we picked up 2 fourth-down conversions. So Miami was like, oh, they're just going to run the ball on every down. Cool. First and second down, they got, you can get 6 yards, or you can get, 7-8 yards, but you have to run the ball on third down? No problem. We'll push up the middle, and we're going to win every single time because our defensive front is better than what you can block for. And that's where a lot of their drives stalled out in the second half after their touchdown drive.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you look at this drive chart in the first half, 3 plays, -5 yards, 3 plays, 5 yards. These are all Florida's drives, by the way. 7 plays, 18 yards, 3 plays, 2 yards, 3 plays, 0 yards, 3 plays, 2 yards, end of half.
Yeah.
And then you come out 11 plays, 80 yards, scoring drive. Like, I don't know what kind of fire they managed to capture in the start of the second half, but it wasn't there the rest of the game.
Right.
And I don't know what needs to change. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of
Well,
people would say the obvious answer needs to change, but
yeah.
7 first downs, 141 total yards. I if this offense ever clicks and they get it right at some point in time this year, Florida will be fine because this defense is good. They're going to show up to play.
Yeah.
Well,
Amen.
let me
Yeah.
not get ahead of myself. They have showed up to play these first 4 games. Now, how's that going to look in another month if the offense still looks like this and the defense is just like, guys, we can't win these games by ourselves?
Right.
Eventually, they're probably going to pack it in.
Yeah. Or not fully pack it
But
in, but like, hey, we know, like,
we
maybe it
know.
prevents,
Yeah.
maybe it prevents like you're trying to stop somebody on 4th and 1, and you're like, oh, whatever, we're not going to score
Yeah.
anyways.
We're
We're already
not.
down
Yeah.
7 points.
Offense isn't going to do anything with the ball. So, like,
Yeah. Why
I'm
would
going to
we
take this play off,
Yeah.
And then, but that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest question mark left for me with Florida. Is because, like, I've seen what the defense has done the first 4 games and how they've showed up. They've showed up like they've wanted to be there. And the offense just hasn't. And you can sit there and say, oh, it's DJ, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. It's Billy, man. He's calling the plays. And when you elect to call the plays, you catch the blame.
Yeah.
So what was the glaring problem with Florida tonight? The offense. Defense played well for what they were asked to do and for what they were getting on the other side of the ball. Defense played fine. Offense was non-existent. It's like they didn't get off the bus until the second half. Like, it's like all the offensive players were just like, "Hey, we're just gonna chill on the bus till halftime.
Yeah.
Then we'll get off and play.
Then we'll show up. We'll throw a little bit of theatrics, make everybody think this might happen." Florida gets the interception in the 3rd quarter after the touchdown drive, and I texted you. I was like, "No way!" Like, and it wasn't, dude. It wasn't a no way of like, no way that just happened. It was like, no way this stupid Florida team is gonna act like this for the entire game, and then they're just gonna like, because this defense has just backpacked them into this game, they're going to come out and make this a competitive ball game. And I'm actually glad that didn't happen. I'm glad Miami won this football game because they deserve to win this football game. Even though for stretches in this game, Carson Beck looked like he was a true freshman. And
they didn't.
Just confusing. I mean, for a guy who's been much maligned, and he has the starting quarterback job at Georgia, so you know this better than anybody. That's one of the hardest jobs in the country to have. And for a guy that has that job and has taken all the scrutiny, and there's been so much said about how much he's in a better place, like how much he loves Miami. The offense looks great in the first few weeks, and he comes out and in the second half, and it's like he kind of forgot all of that and was like, I'm going to just go ahead and hold on to the ball way too long, get sacked. None of the balls that I throw are going to be anywhere near any of my receivers. And if they do catch it, then it's going to be a great individual play from the halfback or receiver. Yeah. Kind of a weird Carson Beck game.
Yeah, like, kind of like he was trying to force balls again. Like, and I will say, I do think that there has been some growth because, like, I think if you take the version of Carson from last year, this is like, he threw the 1 interception. This is like a 2 or 3 interception game because he threw 3 interceptions against Florida last year. So there's some growth there. And I think that comes from the relationship that he has with Shannon Dawson. But yeah, I don't know what changed, but maybe Florida was doing something different, or maybe, but they looked like the Miami offense kind of got off a little bit in the second half.
And Carson, to his credit, had some balls in the first half that he threw that were good balls that were not caught, and or that were miscommunications. You could see that visible frustration, and I think that actually led. If some of those balls are caught, I think we're talking about this game as kind of a blowout, probably
like a 42-7 game.
Yeah, it was kind of teetering that way. I think C.J. Daniels Jr. dropped one. I don't know his name, but the tight end was kind of listed like he just kind of looked like, oh, I was supposed to be running that route, not I was supposed to turn around. But a weird Carson game that kind of just it's going to get swept under the rug because the Miami The Miami run game was very very competent in this game. It was good and got them those last 2 touchdowns that they did end up punching in. So
and I think if you're a Miami fan, also you do feel good that if this happens, if the offense for whatever reason kind of sputters like it did, that defense is still disgusting, dude. And again, whoever thought and made Florida's schedule and said, you know what, let's make DJ Lagway play Harold Perkins and Reuben Bain Jr. within 7 days of each other, that's just cruel, dog.
Yeah.
That's just cruel. Like Reuben Bain, my God, that Miami defensive line is nasty.
Yeah, I think I tweeted out from our account. I was like, at like early in the second quarter, or maybe like midway through the second quarter, I was like, confirmed DJ Lagway is not having a good time because I mean he was just running for his life the entire first half, and it wasn't. You could see on these replays, it's not like a DJ Lagway thing for the most part. It's everybody's covered, and Reuben Bain has just walked through the offensive line within 2 seconds. Like that.
Yeah. You don't have a whole lot of time with him. You do not. Reuben's not going to give you a whole lot of time to assess the situation. It's like you got to make a decision now. So that's got to be something that makes me feel good if you're a Miami fan, is that, hey, the offense kind of sputtered a little bit, but the defense is good enough to give them time to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, and the run, like Miami's just a solid team all around. Run game's strong. The weapons have come on. Malachi Toney has taken the nation by storm. And that defense, retool in the secondary, the defensive line, they look really good. So
Miami and Oregon so far, 2 teams that I trust. I'm not saying that other teams are not good. Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Georgia, sure. But the 2 teams that I trust so far, because I think you hit the nail on the head on Tuesday's episode, Oregon and Miami. 2 battle-tested teams that I know what I'm getting out of both of them. I feel very, very confident going forward out of both of them. So
yeah, and I feel like both those teams have an identity, and like I want to feel that way about Ohio State. I've only seen them play Texas, and I haven't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't know on Ohio State yet, and we don't know on Penn State. But yeah,
we'll find out next week.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. Let's go.
Find out next week, Brett.
Yeah. All right. What else we got? I think. You want me to do my 1 minute Vanderbilt corner that we?
Yes. Yeah. Give me your
my Diego Pavia jersey is on the way from the mainland of China, but if I can get this to stay, I'll throw this on for now. It's not gonna stay. Anyways, yeah. Good team. Really good team. Still concerned with the defense because there's just these little things in these games that I've seen that they're going to, like Georgia State had some periods in the game today where they like their talent was making some of Vanderbilt's guys miss, and they did put up 21 points in this game. So, but this is scary, effective offense. So scary, dude. They are like Pavia. Obviously, we talk about him until I'm blue in the face, but the amount of weapons that they've got with Junior Sherrill, Cedric Alexander, all 3 Vanderbilt running backs scored a touchdown today. And they are. I'm interested to the Alabama Vanderbilt game. While I don't know what it's going to look like as an on-field product, the build-up. I mean, that might be surely not. That ain't even a college game. It'd be awesome.
I mean, listen.
If Alabama is anything, if Alabama wins every game, if Alabama beats Georgia,
I think
that's the college football game day. I really college game day is. I don't think you cannot go there if Vanderbilt's 5-0 and Alabama's 4-1.
Oh no!
What is that week?
It'll be Miami, Florida State. It'll be
Miami. Yeah. You're right. Yep.
It'll be Miami, Florida State.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Add Florida State to that list because I now trust them. I'm
not there yet.
Yeah, I get it. But
give me a little bit of time.
Yeah, the explosive plays. But the last thing that we do on Night Chat here, unless you have anything else, is we
No,
like to
no,
give
I'm
out.
ready.
We both, and I think everybody here at Chat Up Sports really misses the helmet sticker segment from the college football final days on ESPN. If they still do college football final, I have no idea, but we miss it.
It's college football scoreboard now.
Scoreboard.
Well, yeah, they still do it, but I don't think they do the helmet stickers anymore.
So Lou, Lou Holtz, all those guys, miss them doing that. So we decided to. We still don't really have a solid name for it. We've landed on Saturday stickers. So if you have any names, please drop them below in the comments.
What if we did like Saturday studs?
Sure, Saturday studs. Yeah, we change it every single week.
But tune in next week to find out what the name of it is.
What the name is, yeah. But our my helmet sticker, my first one, we're going to do 2 apiece, is going to be Robert Meyer from the University of Missouri. There was much talked on the broadcast about basically how this dude cannot kick. He's a true freshman kicker. He misses a PAT early in the game, and it is a horrible miss. Like, it is terrible. And he makes like 2 close field goals, and Drinkwitz is talking about how, he's not going to run the kicker out there unless he absolutely has to. Missouri gets in, I think it's like 39-yard range, and Mayer not only walks up there, but and hits it. He walks up there and buries it right in the All-State, like, good hands field goal net. I mean, it's center. It's like hitting the center of the cup putt in golf. So Robert Mayer, take your Saturday stud. I don't think he'll be getting another one, but you're lucky I caught the end of that game because I was going somewhere else before I saw that.
Perfect. Well, we're doing, since we're going to alternate. My first one is going to the man that has now carried for over 100 yards and a touchdown in the 4 games that he has played with his new school, and that is Justice Haynes. Justice Haynes has looked like the running back that he was pitched to be coming out of high school when he committed to Alabama and went to Alabama. He looks like he really fits that Michigan system, and he was a stud today. 17 carries, 149 yards and a touchdown, had a longest run of 75 yards. That's his second 75-yard run for a touchdown this season, which is just nuts. But yeah, Justice Haynes, man, shout out. You want to go with your second one, or you want me to go?
No. Let's snake draft it. You go ahead. If you take mine,
okay.
Then
I got my second one. I'm going to be honest. This is a little bit of a box score scout because I did not get to watch this game, but I'm going with Fernando Mendoza.
Okay.
Dude, you put up 21 of 23 for 267 yards and 5 touchdowns against what we thought was going to be like a pretty solid Illinois defense. You're getting the Saturday Stud Award, dude, because Fernando, I keep wanting to call him Francisco. Fernando Mendoza balled out today for Indiana as they absolutely routed Illinois. I'll be honest. I was wanting to be on the Illinois side here. Our boy Chase put it in the chat slip. I thought 6.5 was a more than favorable number. I was like, I really like that. That looks solid. No, they lost by 53. So yeah. I feel like there's no more appropriate place to go. Fernando Mendoza, good job, sir.
Yeah, props. All right, I also have a quarterback for my last one. And that is going to be the early game that I had on the side screen. TCU's own Josh Hoover, 379, 5 touchdowns. This SMU team, I thought, was going to steal this one for quite a while. I thought SMU was going to be able to hang on and take this one. And Hoover and his main man, actually, I'm going to give 2. I can go whatever I want. Eric McAllister, 8 receptions, 254 yards, and 3 touchdowns, including just a prayer heave that I posted on Twitter on our account. Like, McAllister was just eviscerating this SMU defense. So Josh Hoover, Eric McAllister, you can't get one without the other. So you both get a Saturday Stud Award.
Beautiful. Because I was watching that game when that happened, and then I was like, what in the world was that?
I don't know.
Just a prayer ball, dude.
Yeah.
Just a pure prayer ball tossed up. So, all right, man. Well, another successful weekend of college football. We love it. We hate that the season's a quarter of the way over. But next week's a big week, man. Next week's a big week.
Yes,
A
it
lot of big
is.
games. It might be more of a like core 6 than a core 4 because it's going to be really hard to just pick 4 games
Yes, it
out of
is.
what's happening next week. But
Yeah.
appreciate everybody for joining us on another edition of Night Chat. If you are watching on another social platform, maybe Instagram or Twitter, please do us a favor. Head over to YouTube, drop a subscribe. We promise it doesn't sign you up for anything. We're not going to blow up your feed with random stuff. We're not going to send you emails. We just want you to watch the show when it comes out on Tuesdays and Fridays. Um, follow Chat It Up on all social media to keep up with us. And we will see you guys on Tuesday morning as we preview 2 more games and give you our love hates from another great week of college football. So have a good night, everybody, and we will see you Tuesday.